What's good, y'all? My name is Open Book. This is my partner.
Hey guys, this is Harith and welcome back to TruSpace.
And yeah, let's break down this Israel Palestine situation. Give you guys really an overarching view and perspective of what's going on because the internet is very polarized on this situation. A lot of people are making arguments on both sides, but a lot of it is not coming from the true space. A lot of it's not coming from a clear perspective of a mind, say, that is shaped by astrology, that understands natural forces and that understands human natures to start extracting truths from these things instead of following the narratives that are out there so we can understand this very nuanced situation. So if you're pro Israel and you're just on that side acting as if Israel is completely innocent in the situation, and stay tuned into this video and your mind will be changed and you'll start to understand the overarching perspective. Same thing with Palestinians. Um, with the Hamas and all of the terrorist attacks that are going on. If you're pro-Palestinian, I guarantee stay into this video and then you'll have a very nuanced situation. And then you will separate yourself from the narratives that are being spoken and understand what is going on a subconscious level, because that's what we get into on this channel. So yeah, we can start talking about that. So Israel versus Palestine. Let's maybe create some backdrop on this issue for some people that don't know. So where did this hostility um between these two factions come from and start?
But I think before we get into that, we gotta understand a broader concept, which is basically how they take a land and divide both of them against each other. In
Okay.
every single geographical location, every single country, there's two land always fighting against each other. It's almost like that Cain and Abel story. China versus Taiwan, North Sudan versus South Sudan or Egypt, or Saudi versus Iran. Is that big brother and younger brother type of conflict in every
North versus
geographical
South
location?
in the States with the Civil War and shit like that, right?
Exactly, and it plays on every geographical location, and you could even go as far as the people being categorized in each geographical location. Some people they will put maybe say the Muslim in one area, the Christian in one area, or they put the lighter people in one area and the darker people in one area, and the whole thing creates natural form of polarization, a whole Cain and Abel situation that which begins the process of internal conflict that lasts for generation without realizing the backdrop of it because it's built on that structure. So there's no way to get out of it without understanding the reality of it or the way it's been structured.
100%. 100%. And what did Jay-Z say? Jay-Z had a line. He was like, a nation's never destroyed from the outside until it destroys itself from within.
A hundred
Which
percent, a hundred percent.
is hard as hell, and that's how every civilization has fallen. Look at the previous elections that was going on in 2016, in that election, and even the 2021. Weren't there mad Russian hackers, mad all of the Chinese hackers flaring up, increasing the polarization that was happening within the country, dividing people. So you see how that is a tool or an impetus for people to help divide and destabilize the land. And these are people that would really value from United States being destabilized so that they can get in and extract the resources from the landmass or have a little bit more control of what's going on this landmass and squeeze their way into it, which is the same thing that was being done, North versus South. Even with the Civil War, I bet there wasn't really much difference between the people in terms of lifestyle and ethnicity necessarily topically, but more so like a forced type of thing where you're
Mm-hmm.
forced to polarize against each other. Like even with Israel and Palestine, or Muslims and Jews, thousands of years ago, guarantee we wouldn't be saying Jew or Muslim. We probably even wouldn't be calling these niggas these things
No, no,
in this language, and there
yeah.
would be less of a distinction. Like same thing with Hindus and Muslims in India. Like niggas was praying on the same shrines, kind of had similar deities in India before British rule came, and it was like, nah, 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 nah. Y'all niggas need to separate. Y'all niggas need to. I have to put a label on you guys so I can understand and put you guys into a box. But they weren't making those distinctions before. So
Yeah.
it's a tool, this
Mm-hmm.
polarization that you're talking about.
100%. And I would say also a lot of people, so a lot of people should understand the concept of distance and closeness, like how Dolo the Parliament speaks about it. That's also what create separation between countries, but also alliances. The countries that are more closer in this distance are more likely to create alliances together and share similar cultures, share similar things, geography, farms, fruits, all the way. While people who are more further apart, the more separate they are, the more conflict they're gonna play out all the way from the United States of America and Russia and China. China is more likely to team up with Russia slowly based on the fact they're more closer in this distance. While the British with the United States, they're gonna team up most likely just based on short and distance alone. And that concept alone help you understand how people even team up without them even saying anything. It will just lead to that naturally because they have no choice.
100% distance and closeness, and then you can also look at the effects of being positioned geographically and how it shapes your conscious. So certain geographical locations, is going to create a similar minded type of person, if you get what I mean, a similar like minded mentality. That's why the East is the way that it is with its traditional values, the way it looks at how they're not as industrial. It's more about the inner world where spirituality is more accepted there, uh different things are put in the focus when you look at an Eastern perspective versus a Western perspective where everything is different. So when you look at immigrants and even people coming over here, that's what I was just thinking. There's a video of Justin Trudeau in a mosque, maybe like last week or something like that in Etobicoke. And yo, they're calling him Shaitan. I was like, I'm like, Justin, why would you even go there? I was like, why'd you go to the mosque? Like they weren't gonna roast you. But it's like, yo, how could you push all of these policies? Be like, yeah, be gay, yeah, guys run around do it, and then go to a mosque? It's like, yo,
Yeah.
you don't lost your mind, nigga. You, you don't lost your mind. But you see how the different geographical location, you can't just accept people to come and assimilate into our traditions and lifestyles when they're coming from just to show you the difference in culture is also there, but there's a geographical magnetic influence where they're in a different type of land where a different type of positioning to a different type of psychology. So there's a whole disorientation that goes on with these people, so we can't just
Mm.
expect people to blend in into our mindset. And when things are going on, or on the other side, understand that there's a different psychology that is going on, and the societies are run different. How people are thinking different. It's not necessarily bad or good. It's just different, responding to their different environments. If you was living in a desert, shit, nigga, your mentality would be different.
Exactly. That will even explain to you why certain Western European countries they have this reaction to Islam as a religion, as a system, compared to say African countries or countries in the Arabian Peninsula.
Yeah, then
But
why you
like,
get
cause
so extreme? Like, nigga, we in a desert. Like, what are you talking about?
but that's why if it gives them almost the idea of like why we're gonna act like we're in hell while we're in heaven type of situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 100%. And then this is where the ideas, like if you want to go back to the basis of religion, where a lot of them come from this modern day religion, and a lot of them come from this region, and why the essential focus of these Arabic type religions, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, these Semitic religions, is so centered around suffering and pain because it's deriving out of a the fucking desert, nigga. Like,
Yeah, and they're so close to where the spring and the spring and the summer is, so they experience more transformation due to the sun, fire, heat. So of course they're gonna have like Hellenistic like mindset, or they're not gonna be like feel whole. Like well, like, compared to the Western Hemisphere, you feel like you've been given everything. You can relax a little bit.
yeah, this motherfucking fruit trees, there's fucking papayas and pineapples and mangoes and shit like that.
Mm,
Like you just chilling out in the tropics and shit like that. A bunch of trees and shit like that, giving you shade and cover. You got
mm,
four seasons,
mm.
so everything is fucking balanced. You have transitions. It's not always hot all the motherfucking time. That type of shit. So it definitely changes your psychology, and this is just the base layer for you to understand the differences and discrepancies of mentalities and how you can't just push people together like that and expect shit to just work. You can't on a geographical level, let alone an astrological level, but it plays in astrological wise, you know, because it's our positioning within this geographical positioning that
Mm-hmm.
changes how astrology influences your mind. So just them
Mm-hmm.
being on a different location on Earth, you have to understand that the mind is shaped different when you're looking at these things. So you can't look at your Western perspective and start to judge what's going on over in the Middle East and think that you're going to come away with an understanding. You will be able to extract some information, but it won't be holistic.
No, yeah, 100% agree with you. Yeah.
For sure. And that's and holism is what we need to strive for. Because the devil works in 99% truths. And y'all need to hear me on that, man, because that's how you get niggas. That's how you get niggas. Look at the LGBT community. Like, they are so successful at how
Mm-hmm.
they are spreading their message because a lot of it is true. If you're looking at gender fluidity, you know, that shit is true. I have feminine energy within me too. And
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to navigate that energy, especially with dysfunctional females who don't understand that and all of that. So I could see that being manipulated. Maybe not being as traditional as a dude growing up. I remember bare niggas was trying to call me gay and soft and shit like that. Nigga, I'm a water sign. Get off my dick. Get off my dick. Fucking Scorpio. But yeah, like I can so see that being manipulative, or if somebody were to try and plant a seed into that mind that because I'm of this emotion, maybe I needed a different expression, or maybe I'm more
Oh.
feminine. Just that idea is true in its sense.
Mm-hmm.
I am more feminine, but that doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
I need to go and chop my dick off and do all of this different type of shit.
Mm-hmm.
But there is more feminine energy in me. Maybe chopping my dick off is the solution. You know, that's one of
Mm-hmm.
a million different types
Mm-hmm.
of possibilities that
Mm-hmm.
could be out. But
Mm-hmm.
the truth remains is that there is more feminine energy that needs attention if that's how it's coming out. So that's the truth and how they would manipulate people, but then think that this specific outcome is the solution when there could be
Mm-hmm.
10,000 different solutions rather than chopping your dick off.
You could think of the LGBT community as them just practicing masculine and feminine energy in inverted ways through unhealthy expression, while we're supposed to practice these things for more of a mental perspective. They basically inverting things, and in truth, reality, it might even sound disgusting to say, but spiritually, mentally, everybody is all the genders, everybody is all these labels and whatever. But that's not what you're supposed to do in the physical reality. You're supposed to play one gender while minimizing the other energy. I learned how to balance both, but they're kind of making,
And look
you
at the
get what I mean.
dismissive. I get what you mean 100%. And look at the dismissive nature of that. And look at how we're talking about holism. You can't understand something unless you understand it holistically, because otherwise you're just looking at a side. So just like what Harith was saying, you know, we're all different types of
You'll be getting
feminine
masculine
energy.
energy, dick, vaginas. Like, it sounds disgusting, I know, but like that's what the reality of it. If you really,
100%. 100%. But you have to ask yourself the question, why did I come in here as a man? Like the whole perspective, or why did I come in here as a woman? The whole perspective of, you know, having to change, not even just having to change, but it goes into our starting point, how we shape and view the world. You think all of this is random and that all of this just happened by happenstance. Same thing with gay people. Something just happened. You know, there's just a random change within the body that has made you different, and we have just to accept that as just a random occurrence. You know, these things just happen, and our roles and our position within it is minor, and we're just thrusted upon these things. We're victimized by destiny, by reality. That's the essential view that is being held with these mentalities. But when you understand that, if you shift into this perspective that there's a purpose, that everything is done with intention, then you can't discount the fact that you came into this world with a penis, that you came into this world as a man. And then
mm,
look at how you're discounting spirituality. You can't get into spirituality being stuck on that level, being confused. That's like the lowest, being stuck on your base chakra and not having access to any of the higher chakras. Literally, you get to your second chakra, you start to understand duality a little bit more. Just the fact that you're on that, we're stuck on that root chakra. And then look at the LGBT community using the inverted rainbow.
Rainbow. Yeah,
A-
yeah.
and
British
then their
spirituality. Yeah.
focus is so on sexuality, so it's like they're taking your higher energy and putting it down and keeping it into the root chakra, symbolism wise. And then now let's look at the actions that are being done, and why is there a hyper fixation on sexuality when you're using the symbol of the inverted rainbow? Get your eyes out of here, nigga. Y'all need to correct that shit or step away from that branding and the LGBT thing and just understand yourself as a human sexually. But yeah, we going into this LGBT shit,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but just to show you guys the perspective of looking at things holistically. So looking at Palestine, what's the backdrop of how this conflict happened? Why are they beefing with Israel? Where did this start?
well, it goes back to different tribes being in such a geographical location, claiming it, and then so. But there's this one thing everybody can understand. Through entire human history, we've all been migrating, we've all been moving. There's no such thing as us just being static in one area. That's like kind of ridiculous. That just doesn't
Why?
go
Yeah,
along with
why would we? That's boring as hell.
that doesn't even make sense. So uh through I think the constant migration and eventually through migration, but also fixating at certain areas, building civilization, and then moving on, migrating, and then building and whatever, wherever. I think that leads to certain conflict on who runs certain geographical locations, and um, basically that's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I get what you mean. Because there has been a lot of ethnic mix because all of that
Oh,
information. Mhm.
okay, this is the point. Now I remember. Okay, so the Arabian Peninsula, that area that where they're all fighting. Get it? You get understand why it's important. It's between Africa, and then we have Europe on top, and then we have all of Asia on the other side. So it's almost like a middleman between all these geographical location. And if you could almost rule it or build a civilization around it or a country, you could almost become the middleman and like tax a lot of people and like do a lot of control when it comes to trading, lying, deceiving, controlling the information and things like that. I'm arguing that the whole conflict stems from there because different group of people were fighting over it. Specifically, we speak about when it comes to the Muslim dynasties. They were when the first people started building like civilization in that area and building like jurisdiction and government. They were fighting against the Assyrians and the Babylonian and those in northern areas. So, but then these people also fought against them and took over that area. So, and then the people from Europe, the Greeks and the Turks, they're also fighting in that area too. So there's a whole intermixing that's going on. People fighting over an area which deal with rulership, giving you more economical power, giving you more control, like over like simple things that people do not even care about, like
Now,
basically.
the average civilian, it's the exact same thing with Ukraine. Yeah, I was thinking that with Israel too, and I was thinking of how they just took the land from the Palestinians. I'm like, and why there? And then the Jews, the Zionists, were debating some of the where they would set this homeland for their people way before even this the whole situation with World War II happened. They were planning this, and they were looking at Zimbabwe. They were looking at I forgot where the other places that they were looking at.
Zimbabwe,
They're
what the
fucking
fuck?
Zimbabwe, bro. So there was strategy to where they selected these lands, and they were
Mm.
weighing Zimbabwe, and then now and then afterwards they started coming with the experience, with the justification. Oh, God gave us this land. This is the promised land, and all. Then why are you telling niggas talking about Zimbabwe? Get your bitch ass out of here. But anyways, um, look at Ukraine, and that's conflict that's going on in Ukraine. That's such a hot spot for those two countries battling for Ukraine, the land, because it's the flattest plain in Europe and it has the best soil in Europe. So, and agriculture wise, Ukraine is a big exporter or resource of agriculture. So people don't understand that this is why the battle is being pursued, because that land has valuability to sustain agriculture practice where they could grow food. Either Russia's growing food for them to help their people, or to make money through exports, or Ukraine's in the West is getting that. So you're controlling a food source, and then now you get to dominate the area because you're dominating where the food source of that area is coming from. So this is why it's such a hot place, because of
Mm.
that resource, and that's how valuable your food is. It's not these higher concepts where you think niggas is arguing about ideas and battling against ideas, and I don't like you because you're Muslim, and I don't like you because you're Jew. Niggas that are actually fighting on that level don't even think like that. Like, that's just dumb
Nah,
niggas so you can justify a war. They're looking at land, resources, money.
yeah, yeah,
That's
and
it.
and yeah, 100%. And nine times out of ten, your religious stories, the characters you're speaking about, are probably characters that represent their geographical location and their histories colliding on each other, and they explain it to you. But you think it's like it's your God, how they came up with your country, and they build everything for you. That's your story.
And that's what it is, and those are the central pillars of the type of mentality that you're supposed to have. That's what Jesus served as. It wasn't that he was a historical figure. He was a figurehead to show you the ideal personality, or the ideal person that is held up high within that society. So yeah, it changes based off of geographical location, and who's running that area. So when I was looking at Israel and how they just took that land, you're right, there had to have been a huge economic and physical resource advantage of why you would just take that land from the Palestinians, why the Palestinians would be so upset and want to take it back. If it was just crap land that couldn't be used for anything, the Palestinians would be like, shit, I don't give a fuck, go and do what you want. But it's because it's a hot spot. And then if you look at the land dispersal of Israel versus what belonged to Palestine, and what Israel has taken, and where Palestine is, Israel's just took in majority of the coast. All they have is the Gaza Strip, the Palestinians, which is just small portion of the coastal line. So you can see that Israel has control over the coast. And then isn't that where Troy was and shit like that? Isn't that where
Yeah, 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 100%.
huge civilizations were within these regions? Troy was a huge thing, and there was this huge stronghold that took all the whole epic of invading Troy. I don't know if y'all niggas ever read or heard about that, but that
Oh yeah, I
yo,
seen
the
movies. Yeah,
gods fought in that
yeah,
shit, yo.
yeah,
Like, the
yeah. Those
gods
some
were
big, like,
involved.
yeah, those some Zeus of all type of battles,
Zeus got
yo.
that. Mars was fighting niggas. Yo, the gods got involved in that shit. It was huge, and it was like a 10 year or 9 year war all because of some bitch, all because of Helen, all because some bitch wanted to go and fuck this nigga over here. This nigga wanted to go and steal a bitch from this nigga over here, and then niggas started beefing. But just to show you that that territory has always been distributed, and there was this one stronghold country that held it. So there's value within the land. So you guys have to understand that first and foremost. And what happened to the Jews during the Holocaust was obviously devastating, even though shit, I'm not still convinced on all of the facts of that situation. But nonetheless, Jews were persecuted and killed during the Holocaust. And I understand the incentive of giving them wanting to prevent it from happening again, so that could be the humanitarian idea of giving them their own state, since they were embedded in German culture. They were embedded in different factions within different ideological places. So you're like, okay, let's give these people their own landmass where they can design their own laws and be governing by themselves, and have means to defend themselves. But why does Palestine have to be collateral for all of that, especially given the disputes over the land? And like what you were just talking about, it's not like they just got that land just by sitting on their ass. There was blood shed for that through previous empires, of why that current group of people was ruling that current landmass, and why they were there, let alone the value of that the land has, for you to just go and take it for something that they weren't even involved in, based off of what justification? When And then they're gonna go and say it's because that was the Holy Land, that was the land that we were talking on about the Bible. No, it wasn't, and I can get into more of that. Get into how that wasn't even the Holy Land. That's not where, biblically, that was not the Holy Land. Whether they designed cities there to replicate the biblical cities, like satellite cities, or like replicas of those type of civilizations, sure, you can go ahead and say whatever you want. But Ancient Israel, first of all, Israel was never a location. It was never, if you go and open up the Bible, it was never, ever, 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 ever used as a location. It was
Eh,
always used in reference as a group of people. It's a people. That's how it's been used for. So when they're gonna go and say that this is Israel, even them just claiming the land. There's this Jew in New York. He's in the streets of New York. Where he's like a heretic. I swear to God. I love that nigga. He's like a classic Jew with the jerry curls and shit like that. But he says in the Bible, it's like, yo, we're kind of like cursed or banned from having our own state in the Bible. We're supposed to be nomadic traveling until the Mashiach comes, and then we establish this new type of thing. So Jews aren't even supposed to have it based off of their own law there. So he keeps preaching that, and he's talking about the crimes that are done against the Palestinians and all of that. But it's important for us to understand this conflict, to understand that this land was just taken from them. It's not like it was some type of dispute. It's not like it was won through war. It's not like the Palestinians were being punished for their actions. The land was just taken from them because international parties decided that, looked at the map, decided that they owned it, that they were the dictators of the earth, and that that they know what's best for everybody, and that they're in control of who gets the short straw and all of that, and decided to shortchange Palestine. Whether it was right or wrong, whether it was justified, whether that actually helped the Jews or whatever, that is the baseline of what had happened. Same thing like with niggas in America now. Like you can go and say, there's no reason for a black man to be mad at white people at all. Nigga, slavery happened, my nigga. You know, maybe all of the details between all of that, but at some point in time, there was a white nigga with a whip in his hand, you know, whipping a nigga. And then there's niggas whipping white people too. So there's nuance to that situation for sure. But imagine the hatred that is built up through that type of thing, even generationally, even 100 years down the line. Like we can't dismiss it when we keep on seeing these things reoccurring. Just because 100 years pass by doesn't mean that these things aren't passed on. Just the same thing with the Holocaust. You can see Jews now. This is why Jews look the way that they look. I don't know if you see Jews, or a lot of the problems that they have comes from that trauma that had happened, where certain grandmas were going through the Holocaust, so maybe they weren't able to give the attention to their children. They had to give away their children. Their children were separated from their parents, creating this separation anxiety, all of these. And then these young Jewish people are growing up in a regular society now, not understanding why they have these ADHD, why they have all of these
You tell
problems and shit like that.
you telling me a Jew's complaining about not growing up with his father? Will it, or his family member? I never heard that my entire life.
Yo, real shit. That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
What are you guys even talking about? You guys are
That's
the
what
most family oriented niggas I see my entire life. What do you mean your father was not there? Because he was working, making money?
Running some type of industry in some administrative position, firing niggas.
And
Like
he's spending majority of time with his boys reading Torah and Talmud and shit like that.
the boys club. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Um
Y'all trauma
100.
is retarded.
That's why it's so hard to feel bad for Jews when they try and talk like that, cuz like you niggas were at the top in Germany. Y'all niggas was rich as hell. Y'all not seen Schindler's List when they went to go and take y'all niggas shit. They had that taking y'all niggas gold teeth, y'all diamond rings. Niggas don't peep that was the 40s. Like what y'all niggas doing with gold teeth and diamond rings and like what is y'all on? For them to even be like, oh, let's go and take their shit. Why did you guys have such valuable shit? Because you were top extra lots of the fucking of society to go in that happening after, where so much Jews are stable. It's not like y'all niggas come from like impoverished situations. And how did that
Mm.
not happen? And then y'all niggas were given your own state and they became prosperous shortly after, because that was obviously aid
That
and assistance being given. So when you look at other people for not being as established, and then you're blaming them, it's crazy. I don't understand how Israel can play the victim, and people buy that. Very
uh
advantageous position. They should be very grateful that they're even positioned within that landmass the way that they were in before the land was taken away from them in 1948 by I think even the British was occupying the land, and then eventually
You,
they
you,
give it to Israel.
this all goes back to the British. We gotta speak about them too, because like somehow they never, because they related to, they began the whole thing. They divided and drew the map of majorities of the countries in the world, which is the same thing that led to countries, modern day countries conflict due to their maps. And
Exactly.
even the systems, the government systems within most countries are built by the British itself.
Most people don't understand pre World War II Earth. The countries were not the same. The land masses, the religions, the everything was not the same. A lot of shit happened after that World War II. This is where land was divided. They divided up Africa. They divided up the Middle East. Y'all niggas get this. Y'all niggas get that. A lot of things had changed and transitioned after that period. It was very pivotal to that time. So you have to understand the turmoil of what's going on. How everything is upheaval and how that slip, how they were able to get there. The population of the landmass of Palestine was 6% Jew before the landmass was taken away from them during World War II when they were trying to give the Jews their homeland. And the Jews were living in relative peace with the Arab population there, still venerating it as their holy land and shit like that. They were allowed access. The problem didn't come, well, one, rapid migration of a different group of people with a different culture within this landmass, and then they were given government sovereignty. Not only was government was being taken away from the Palestinians and being put, it was an Israeli state within their lands. So now Israel is having the say of what's going on within these certain landmass. And then how are you gonna go and take the landmass from people and give majority of it to the new people, to the non-natives, and give them majority of the land, and then confine all of these people and say that what you should just be happy with what you were given. And then now, because we're 60, 50, 70 years plus forward, you just want to tell the niggas to forget about that shit. You don't think your grandmas was cussing their on the kitchen table their entire motherfucking lives, be like, fuck these Jews ass niggas, and that used to be my farm over there, fuck these niggas. And then your mom grew up with that hostility. Then you be like, yo, fuck these Jews. Yeah, so a younger population is going, that energy without being addressed is going to fester. There's a South Park episode where they talk about the Mexican Batman. And shout out to anybody that knows that episode. And it was just basically talking about how, like, you're creating kind of like a Mexican villain by how they were treating Mexicans coming off of the border, how they were treating kids. Just like they were creating a terrorist by how they were treating the kids. Like, this kid's gonna foster hatred for the United States. So it's like you're creating a villain story. You're creating the villain that's going to have the hatred that's lacking humanity, that you're going to demonize as a villain. Your actions, your negligence has created that villain. And then now you want to go and look at, play the victim, like, I don't know what's happening. Oh, why are they doing this? Why are Palestinians, why does the Hamas want to attack Israeli? It's not like we're subjecting their people to oppression, stole their land, and killing innocents on a daily basis. And the urgency by the Hamas. Apparently, this terrorist attack that the Hamas, which is some type of political faction within Palestine, had launched against Israel, that started this whole conflict. I think it was either 900 or 9,000 people were killed in that terrorist attack. Uh,
Mm.
and it was indiscriminate too. And the Hamas is a faction. And this is where the Palestinians get the defense from, because they're saying that, yeah, I don't know how familiar you are with the issue of what's going on. So Israel has like 100,000 soldiers surrounding the Gaza Strip,
Mm.
and it's a full blockade where they can't do e-commerce, where they can't,
Mm.
sell and do anything. They're blocking off access to food and water. They're literally starving the
Mm.
people there,
Mm.
surrounding them by armed 100,000 man army. So yeah,
Mm.
the Palestinians are like, yo, what the fuck? What the fuck? Why is this collective punishment? Is what they're saying. Why are you doing this all to all of us, 2.2 million groups of people, for a specific group of terrorists that is a manifestation of our hatred, yes, but you caused that. You caused that hatred. But the Hamas, their demands, their charter, they want the complete dismantle of Israel. They want Israel to be destroyed. That's what Hamas leaders say. They're like, they're like, nah,
Mm.
Israel. Our goal is to end Israel. All right, thanks guys, thanks for listening. They're like that. That's what it was. That's what it was. That's what they want, which is now you understand the issues, and that's why I keep on connecting it to the black struggle because look at people. Imagine if niggas just started killing white people because of slavery. You know what I mean? It's like you can't just go and kill people. But it's like, can you blame them? Can you get? It's like it did happen. It wasn't nice, and maybe you should have just go and kill people and take their land and shit like that. But hey, y'all niggas
Mm.
did it to, it's one of those sticky situations. You
Mm.
get what I mean?
It's a difficult situation. But what I heard recently, thing in the news that China, no, Putin started sending weapons to Palestine, and China decided to support Palestine, which makes sense. Why? Because the United States is supporting what, CJ?
Exactly. And then look at that. Nobody would be supporting Palestine. You think China gives a fuck about the Palestinians? like honestly.
China care more about shipping their product than what's happening in Palestine. Like, trust me, I tell you this. It sounds crazy to you, but trust me.
That's all there is to it. And it's all it's all politics where
It's it's a business. They're running a body. They're running an organ. Trust me, the humans, they look at us as just different blood cells with which has an opinion that speaks about what's happening. But they could give a fuck. It's
and
literally
that's
a
how
machine. They're
that's
running something, and
that's
we're the one who's getting offended about it. But to be honest, if you really brought it in your mind, you would detach from it and not get offended as much about it and realize you're just in a machine or an organ or a system, so, and a bunch of blood cells are fighting against a bunch of white blood cells, and there's a basically but it's a transformation. What happens
ex-
inside the body? The same thing, transformation.
exactly that there's a whole bunch of influences that are causing this conflict for you to go and take the completely personal side and defend the Palestinians because you're a Palestinian or you have Palestinian friends or that's just the side that you support and you want to respond to it emotionally, start demonizing Israel, which Israel deserves to be demonized. I'm like, not the average Israeli, but the government structure. Those niggas even look down on, and it's crazy. Like people don't understand when I talk about Zionists and how they don't give a fuck about regular Jews and how the ruling class of Israel is doing this just like what you're saying for economic reasons, for power reasons. They don't give a fuck about the people that got killed. And first of all, that terrorist attack, this something that y'all niggas need to know about Israel. They have the tightest defensive system in the entire world. They call it the Iron Dome, built in 2006, so they had it from long time where they are able to intercept, and if their missile or bomb is shot within their vicinity, it's going to hit a populated area or a dangerous area, it's triggered to do a counter missile that goes and destroys it. So you can't attack them from the sky and aerial type of things. They're highly defended, and they have a well-defined intelligence agency for a terrorist attack, a land-based terrorist attack to take place and injure civilians with the country that has the highest level of internet security. Um, how did that even fucking happen?
Eh,
When you have all of that capability, you have to start assuming that maybe they let it happen. Maybe they didn't mind a couple thousand Israeli niggas dying to justify what further extermination of the Hamas of the Palestinians, more harsh actions. Would you take a hit so that you can justify being going more aggressive? It seems like that's what's being done.
100%. It's almost like um it's a situation of, you gotta understand also how the United States or the West attempting to position themselves in the area in the Middle East against the other countries like Iran and Saudi Arabia and China and Russia. So obviously they had invested interest in the structure of Israel itself because it becomes their backdoor inside it. Because Israel, the concept that Israel has a lot of liberal concepts that justify them being put in that area due to how certain Arab countries being run for example, Saudi Arabia is being run by a monarchy, and if the United States of America want to have like a world that's more based on like kind of its structure, we can't have those old extreme monarchies being run the way they do. So we need obviously a country that's able to bring our word in that place slowly and then integrate our system of liberalism and things like that. So why wouldn't this be the perfect person for them?
100%. And like just like what Harith was saying, it gives them a foothold into the Middle East. And you don't believe that Israel is connected to America. Why is America selling billions annually? Annually. Tens of billions of dollars to Israel when Israel already has, all of this technology. And I don't know if you've seen any of these TikToks these Israeli niggas is making. Like, niggas is crazy. Like, they're making TikToks making fun of the Palestinians that are war torn, getting shot, and all of that. Of even if
Wow.
maybe they're making the claim that it's exaggerations and that it's fake and that they're just doing makeup and stuff like that. Even so, why would you yourself to make a funny TikTok to make fun of Palestinians, dress yourself up in blood and stuff like that, and act out a scene of a mother finding their dead kid or whatever? Like, yo, that's fucked up. And then niggas is doing this for comedy, which is crazy. And it's not like the average is Israeli or the average Jew is caught up in these things where these people should be demonized. No, that these are real
No, they're
genuine people.
victims.
They're just
Yeah.
victims of a larger system of people utilizing specific mindsets. So don't take offense if you're
Mhm.
Jewish or Israeli. That's not what we're talking about. But I challenge you to look at the things that we're talking about and look at your community critically. And just like what Kanye, that's what Kanye was trying to motherfucking say. This was what Kanye was trying to motherfucking say the whole motherfucking time. It's like, nah, just think critically. I'm not saying this, that, and the third, and the Jews and all of that. Y'all can think with whatever you want, but think, why are Jews in these positions doing these things? Like that's a real question. That's a real question. Why does a Jew run Pornhub? That's a
Oh, dude, a Jew.
that's a
There's a
real
Jew.
question. And
There's
how
a
is he
Jew.
still
That,
a Jew?
there's a Jew that runs OnlyFans.
Bro, the porn industry is Orthodox Jews. The stock market is Orthodox Jews. Hollywood is Orthodox Jews. Why the fuck are y'all niggas in these industries? That's not kosher. I don't understand, yo. And then y'all
I'm.
still call them Jews. Y'all still call
Mm,
them Jews. A nigga could get caught with a kid, with a 10-year-old kid's dick in his mouth, and y'all niggas will say this nigga was Jewish. A
yeah,
real
yeah.
Jew would be like, nah, disown. The covenant with God was broken. Dude. It's God. He's not protected by the Most High. He is not a part of us. It's a religion. That's what niggas don't understand. It's an ideology. If you don't keep Shabbat, you're not Jewish. If you don't do Salat 5 times a day, that's what it's
Nah,
called,
you're
right?
kafir. Yeah, you call kafir shaitan.
Don't go call yourself Muslim.
You don't even
What?
know. And this mentality develops because most people in the West they don't experience what happened in the East. In the East, you're forced to do it. It's not like in the West. You're like, oh, I'm not gonna go to church today. I don't have to. Whatever. It's just once a week. There, you have to go 5 times a day. It's not even. There's no opinion. Like if you're gonna come there to understand what I'm saying, that's it. That's the only way. Because the way it's built.
Yeah, if you don't go, your neighbors know. Everybody knows that you didn't go, and then they start
Everybody,
looking
your
at you
brothers,
different.
dude, you be in bed, and then all you hear is the adhan, Allah Akbar, and then you stand up, all your brothers start moving, and then as you open your room, your dad is also moving, and then as you exit your house, everybody's also exiting. As you exit your building, everybody's exiting the building. As
Oh
you're walking,
wow,
there's a whole like river of people going to the mosque, and then bro, it's like a crazy experience, and
that
you
is
can't even,
crazy.
and there's no way you would turn back to go back home. It's impossible due to the water current, yo.
It's just
I'm,
the
t-
current.
I'm, I'm,
You
I'm,
can't
tell-
go against the current.
I'm telling you, I never thought of looking back ever. Like,
It's
uh,
jokes, yo.
like, trust me.
That's crazy. Imagine if it was designed off of like pure systems, more natural systems, and we had that type of mass consciousness, that type of intention. And then even within that example, like, look how much power is within that action. Everybody doing the same thing on the same mindset, on the same intention. Like, that's powerful.
Like, I could say like one thing when they all came together and they prayed and then they started doing the words together. You feel at the end of the prayer, you felt whole, complete. Like basically, it's like game over.
100%. I bet. Yeah, your all out cravings have been satisfied. I lie. I
Hmm
feel you on that. I feel you on that. And yeah, so you really have to understand those religious differences and where this conflict is coming from Palestine, and these Israelis. So when you're looking at all of these polarized opinions where people are supporting Israel, I want you to understand that the Hamas, this political faction that's causing this terrorist attack, wants the complete destruction of
hmm
Israel, and they will kill your mom, they'll kill your auntie, they'll kill
hmm
the babies, and people don't understand that level of hate and how
And
that's possible.
And you gotta understand that Israel as an entity, they're not on the same mindset as these terrorist group people in Hamas. The people there, they're on the mindset, I'm willing to sacrifice myself. Like I believe in my this thing. The people who in Israel who came to fight the war came on call. They came on like
Yeah.
on summon. They're not as sharp. They're not been in the battlefield all their life or majority of the time. And they're not willing to put their life like these people. I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a Jew willing to die on Hashem like a Muslim willing to die on Allah name. Like, like,
100%.
like
Look at the religion. Like just the whole Talmud is
it's an argument.
loopholes.
Yeah, argument. The
This
Quran, there's no
hypothetical.
arguments. There's no loopholes. It's straightforward. You submit and follow the word. That's it.
I stopped. Yo, I lost a lot of respect once I seen the one out of 164th principle with the ham shit in the Talmud, where it was a hypothetical. If maybe you're making a soup, and it was the dumbest hypothetical. Maybe say you're in some old type of city setup, and you're making a soup in the middle of the city or some shit like that. You're just outside like that making a big bowl of soup for all your Jew friends and shit like that. And some random goy. We don't know where this goy came from down the block. We don't know where this goy came from. He just came and Kobe'd some ham into the soup. Just went a shot and Kobe'd some ham into the soup. The hypothetical was, are you still allowed to eat that soup? And then the answer the niggas came up with was if the ratio to ham to soup is 1 to 64, 1 out of 64, you can drink and eat the soup. But if the ratio of ham to soup is more than 1/64th, then nah, you have to scrap it. And I'm like, yo, what type of shit, nigga? Just don't eat this. Just if you're really about it, and pork was put into that shit, just don't eat the motherfucking soup. Just don't eat the motherfucking soup. If you were serious and you're about it. If you tell that to a Muslim, the nigga's not even gonna motherfucking touch the motherfucking soup. Yo, ham was in it. Yo, shoot up the place, yo. But a Jew, you start debating. Oh, is it 1/64th? Oh, let's measure it. Let's get. I got my measuring tape. Oh, let's bring out the scale and shit like that. It's like, no,
Oh,
nah, bro.
let's measure the Gaza Strip. 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer.
I'm like, nah, bro. And like, what are you talking about? Like, you can eat meat and cheese, you just can't eat them at the same time. Like, what's wrong with y'all niggas? I, I don't understand those type of stuff. And then I want to talk about the landmass. People want to say that how can you dispute the claim of Israel being within that land if they claim that it was given to them by God through their religion? But I want you guys to understand there's a book called Bible on Earth written by a Jew from Tel Aviv University, which is the capital city, the university in the capital of Israel. And through his archaeological research, through the department in Tel Aviv University, he doing archaeological digs of that landmass, of Jerusalem, of the Holy Land. A Jew said that there was no evidence of an Israeli encampment in that area or outside of Egypt within that landmass, that there is no archaeological evidence that Moses, the 12 tribes, that any of them niggas had a settlement within that area. So why is there no archaeological evidence of that area? And then we look at the archaeological evidence that show a holy land and Semitic type of religions all the way in the Americas, where this should be impossible to be. And we're finding the same traditions. If you're looking at the Popol Vuh from the Mayans, we have the verbatim creation story. We have verbatim Genesis story. They have a Noah figure too. They have an Adam figure too. They have in the Popol Vuh, there's even a shorty that eats an apple from a tree, and then it's like a mixture of everything. There's an apple from a tree that she eats, and then she gets pregnant, immaculate conception, which is like Eve and Mary all in one. So I'm just trying to show you that these things existed before, or at least pose you the question. You know, if you don't want to be certain and look at these things, why is these things being shown in different land masses of Hebrew, and then you've seen the etchings and artifacts of with Paleo Hebrew? Why is it over there? Why is it over there? There was this artifact that was found with these sketches on it, with this writing on it, and people couldn't decipher where it came from. They found it in America, some like Wyoming type shit, some Middle America type shit. And they got some rabbis to come over to go and look at it, and they're like, "Whoa, this is some block Hebrew. This is some primitive style Hebrew. What is this doing over here in the Americas?" So I'm just, and now there's a faction of people that make the argument that the promised land and that a lot of the biblical stories happen over here in the Americas. I'm not gonna ask you to believe that, even though there's a lot of information within that goes and proves that. But I'm just trying to get you guys to think, why is there this dispersal of this religion? Just to get you guys to not fixate Judaism and Israeli with that landmass over there. It's bigger and broader than that. And maybe later on you can try and attach those ideas and that culture to that landmass, or it had its existence in there. But did it originate within that area? No, it did not. Even most of these modern day Jews cannot trace their ancestry back to Palestine and to that landmass. Most of these niggas come from Ukraine. Most of these niggas come from Ukraine. The Khazars. That's where most of these niggas come from. So, an ethnic tie to that land? No, there is not one. There is no ethnic tie. Religious? That's that's debatable. Why are we just gonna get behind them stealing and stealing this landmass from people through their associations? Yo, we didn't even talk about their chart, because the chart is pointing to a lot of this energy where this came from. But even though all of this happened, all of this did happen, is it right for Hamas to just indiscriminately target Jews and to kill them all? No, but you have to understand how this hatred became festered. And now it's not supportive of the Hamas or the Palestinians, and nor do we have an answer of how the situation can get rectified. But we do have a path and proposal of how we can have a more holistic perspective of it. And this is what we're trying to give you.
One, don't go outside and protest like you protested for Ukraine and Black Lives Matter. That is useless. No one's gonna hear you. That's the first most. That's the first most important thing.
100%. And you have to ask yourself who's funding these things, and why is it benefiting?
And then you remember, as you're gonna go outside protesting, wasting your time, not making money, inflation is going on, economics are improving, everything is moving forward while you're wasting your time. So you're gonna be broke, you're gonna lose your money, and eventually you're gonna get kicked out of the country, go back to your immigrant country. So you're gonna really think about it. You can really think about this in a broader way.
Real
Like
shit.
the best thing you could do with the same thing these Jews did is come up with groups, create corporations, create businesses, and then come together and then be able to enforce rules, regulation, jurisdictions, and shit like that. That's the only way. Other than that, everything is useless.
100%. And now you understand why the Palestinians are fighting so hard, because their sovereignty is being taken away, where more and more Israeli control is dominating how they get to govern themselves.
And one thing I think the Palestinians don't have compared to Israel is a proper government structure, which give them the ability to rule themselves and maintain like rulership and advance slowly. They don't have that compared to the people in Israel. Israel is way more advanced, well put together, and so I can't argue against that personally. Even if you guys will ever watch the interview between Jordan Peterson and Netanyahu, the leader of Israel, he claimed that Israel has a legal claim on that land due to how much they build it and how much they provided value for that area compared to the Palestinians and like totality, which you could have that depending on how you feel from a legal logical perspective. I could see how if you come to an area and you build everything, you should have a certain amount of right control in that area. But like in totality, I don't know, it's a whole nother argument. But that argument, it is possible. Like imagine come building a whole country and then niggas telling you you ain't shit, even though their job and how they eat is based on that. And on top of that, you gotta consider this: in the Israel country, there's more Arab people and more people from different countries living. Obviously, that high quality of life, but way better in comparison to other Arab countries. Other Arab countries do not allow certain Israeli people to come in there. They don't allow Israeli politicians, while Israel allow other people, ethnic group to go, like go in the government, but not always to a certain high level. So like there's so many ways you can spin this argument. So don't pick a side, or you're gonna end up losing.
100%, and that is so right. Whether it be through contact with the United States and all of their Western allies, you're right. There is more of a stable structure going on within
And that,
Israel than the
and
surrounding Arab
and that's
population.
and also that's more of a like a 11 house Aquarius type of energy and argument too. Or if we support Israel, we support this humanitarian cause that might bring salvation, peace, and neutralize what's going on in the Middle East. So there's a logical reason behind them supporting it, and it
For
kind of makes sense. I could see how like they would reach that conclusion too.
For sure. And then you can see how it would split the opinions between liberals and conservatives, right? Where they're like, yeah, just be peaceful. Just put the weapons down and stop fighting and bring stabilization to this area. But then you're sacrificing your sovereignty. You're sacrificing your way of life, your way of being able to govern yourself and the things that you hold by accepting and compromising and placating to these invaders that went and came and forced you to go and do these things. So you understand both. You want the violence in the Middle East to end? So be more diplomatic, to be more this thing. But then the conservative side is like, no, look at all of the damage that is being done. We can't necessarily forget all of that. We can't forgive all of this, and we want to keep our sovereignty. We want y'all niggas to leave. So they're like forced integration, and they're like, no, no, y'all niggas leave. But it's right, and just like what you were saying, and it's the same thing like what I was saying. Like, would it be justified for black people to go and kill white people, or for black people to take land? Now, even though white people built this country, they built, ODB's grandfather had New York. He was the chief of the Chinook tribe, where they were living in New York before it was owned by white people. Can ODB's family now go and claim in New York and go and take Manhattan from them? Can they justify that, even though their ancestry does go to that land back before it was occupied to those people? But they didn't build all of those skyscrapers, and there's so much economy and commerce, you kind of just laugh at them niggas if they were to say some shit like that. So it's kind of it's kind of the same situation. It's kind of the same situation, and then the Palestinians aren't in a position to go and attack Israel and eliminate them. Israel is in a position to completely obliterate Palestine from every last Palestinian from the face of the planet, and this is
Yeah,
what's so difficult of a problem.
and you're gonna realize they could have done it anytime. That's the thing,
Anytime,
though.
anytime,
It's not
anytime.
like it's not like one day it's like they were able to catch them off guard. Nah, bro. They had them off guard from the beginning. They created Israel.
They just don't have the weaponry, and then there has to be allies. People are saying that Iran funded the terrorist attack. Well, random poor Palestinians, random poor Arabs lost in the desert. This image that you have of them don't get tanks and ARs and AK-47s and all of this different type of shit. All of that shit's made in America first and foremost. Come on, that's where it's coming from, and they have to be given these things to be able to do that. So there's all of these things in play, and then why the Hamas was so in a rush. They planned this attack for the last 2 years apparently, and this is like a survival. This is a now or never type of moment, because Israel is making peace with Saudi Arabia, which is another huge predominant faction of Arabs within the Middle East. And if they were to make peace with Saudi Arabia, it shifts the narrative and the support that is
And
happening within the region, and then the Hamas loses all of this power and support of the surrounding area. So they were like, this is our last chance. If they go and make peace with these niggas, they're literally just gonna go and obliterate us. This is our last stand in general. They're going to take our sovereignty, and there's gonna be nothing that we can do and no allies that we can turn to. Let's suicide bomb this shit and literally let's it's now or never. They're gonna kill us anyway, or they're gonna get us anyway. And then the
Mhm.
Hamas, I bet it's hard to find because this is a ground roots. This is something that's built off of hatred, and then external people are coming in bringing in the weapons. It's not like this political faction built a factory to start smelting metals, to go and make weapons, to go and do all of these things. No, it's happening from the outside, from a groundworks, like poor person type of deal. So how can you go and find a poor person amongst other poor people? You know, it's like how do you go and find a be like Tyrone, um he lives in the hood. Be like, yo, there's probably like 10,000 Tyrones in the hood. You know, it's like how you expect me to just go? You're gonna tell me an area predominantly dominated by black people living in a poor situation to go and find a Tyrone, nigga. How the fuck am I supposed to find the Tyrone that you're talking about, nigga? There's 10,000. That type of thing where you can't necessarily weed out who these terrorists are within a population. So this is where the collective punishment comes in because they're disguising it. But then they have the Mossad. You're telling me that you're able to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and blackmail, and Ghislaine Maxwell's father is Mossad ties, and this is where Jeffrey Epstein even came in to do this blackmail thing to collect intelligence on high elites and politicians. You mean that they were able to have a sex island doing all of this shit to children and all of that, but you think that they're incapable of figuring out some terrorist groups or figuring out so like this it doesn't make sense in a lot of so we really want to separate y'all from the narrative that is going on the news, that for you to have a holistic perspective of what's going on within that area. And one, Israel doesn't have claim to the land archaeologically or religiously, except for the fact that what Harris saying is that they already built the infrastructure within that land. So maybe the solution is not these niggas leave, but that's the only solution that's being proposed by these terrorists. But it's understandable. Like if black people in America understand and came together and understood that we were always here and we came together in solidarity, could we kick white people out of America and say go back to Europe? Even though they had built so much infrastructure and built a life and so much generational thing, and there's been so much intermingling now too with blood, and you can't just separate it now because all these light skins and shit like that. What do you do with the light skins? You let them stay, you send them back,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? What do you do with the light skins? So it's like it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So yeah, we don't get involved in this conflict where you're falling for the polarization, but you try and have the overarching perspective of how everything is moving within this world. And then you can utilize this conflict to have a deeper understanding of human nature and psychology. And let's quickly touch on the charts, man. We should have been talking about the charts.
yeah, lie.
But on the chart for Israel, the astrological chart for Israel, the natal chart position that was taken when the country was established, has a stellium in Leo. And the stellium is between the moon, Pluto, and Saturn. Am I right?
Yeah, 100%. That's alone give them enough energy to make their situation world stage, to make themselves seem as the main character. And it's funny how they speak about we're expecting the Messiah. I look at their natal chart, I'm wondering who's the Messiah. It sounds like their country or their state.
100% Leo. Leo correlating with the tribe of Judah, the lion, and the Jews. And they're saying that this is Judea, and they established Judea when the moon and Saturn and Pluto was there. Pluto being the planet of transformation. So there was a
Mhm,
transformation going
mhm,
on. And then the
mhm,
moon's there. So it's, your personal home, domestic issues, and Saturn, structure, law was established, structure was established there, cementing this Leo, this image, the land of Judea, transforming the land of Judea into this landmass.
mhm,
And then what,
mhm,
the sun is in Taurus, right? The sun is in Taurus
mhm.
in the fourth house.
Fourth house, yes.
cusp in the fourth house, or yeah, in the fourth house. So look at that. The sun is the ruler of Leo, so it's connecting that transformation, that structure that's being established on the identical and how you want yourself to be perceived within the home. Sun in Taurus, and then Taurus is creating this connection to resources, land mass. Being the
And then
fourth house, we're talking about domestic issues too.
and the sun being in Taurus, the rule over it, the moon, where is it? It's in Leo. So it's like it's almost like giving them the reason to go on the stage.
Exactly. Exactly. 100%. And where the intensity in this identity comes from. And then yeah, Taurus. And then even they have that conservative value holding on to the landmass, which
And,
is
like, and that stubborn Taurus mentality when it comes to work and
traditional.
this discipline. You can't argue with them.
100%. And a lock on and even security. Look at how they specialize in security. And they have this iron dome that protects them. Their sun is in Taurus, which wants security, resource security too. And then it's in the fourth house, which is talking about
Yeah,
defense, the whole defense of the home. And then this, and
family.
they've put their resources into defending their home with this iron dome defense system that we're talking about. And then what? Jupiter and Sag, yo, bro. Jupiter and Sag. I know a billionaire literally through family connections and stuff like that. But she's on her way to being a billionaire. You know, it's only a matter of time. And she has Jupiter and Sag, and you will see a lot of people with that positioning. I feel like it's like life is giving you a lot. Like shit just it
Mm.
is given
Like
to you where you're put into
mm,
these positions.
yeah, expanding like your even foreign relationships and things like that. I think that's what the Sagittarius deal with too.
Exactly. And then probably other people with different Jupiter placements, they put limitations on
Mm.
their how
And,
they imagine their expansion can go. But someone with Jupiter Sagittarius is like you're just open to expansion in general. So anything can happen. And so that allows a lot of shit for to be given to you or creates the stage
mm.
for a lot of things. It's like the universe just keeps on blessing you and luck. 'Cause Jupiter kind of represents luck too. It being at home in Sagittarius.
Yeah, and think about it, they're receiving all this support from their association and the groups, the people they're connected with because of what their belief system, their religion, their spirituality, their morality.
Oh shit, bro. Yeah,
Oh,
bro.
look at this! This is higher. We is Zeus, yo. We is the father.
Oh shit, and then it's trining, because the fire signs trining the Leo stellium too.
Yeah,
So,
creating
so
better opportunities with that. Yeah.
oh shit. So this is how they're able to use the religious attachment to gain more claim for the land for them to carry out their own identity so that they can be Jewish. So that they can be, even though it, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy when you look at it like that, because all the potential existed for this conflict to happen, or for them to respond in the ways that they had. And then look at the Palestinian chart where we had the moon was in Capricorn in the fourth house. So we're talking about the fourth house again, and the moon in Capricorn. The moon falls in Capricorn in the fourth house. They had their landmass taken from them, and then now they're fighting for control, for stability. It's hard to maintain control because the moon is in its detriment in Cancer in the fourth house. I mean, in
Mhm,
Capricorn in the fourth house,
mhm,
which is kind of crazy.
mhm. And that probably prevent them from initiating their own government, Capricorn, which goes back to the legal argument that I was speaking about like earlier in the video.
100%. And even look at maybe like an emotional
And their
structured.
midheaven, their midheaven is Cancer. What do we know the Palestine for? Complaining and whining about their home issue. That's became their status. So everything is in reverse for them.
100%. And their political structure is home based with Sharia law. It's more emotional, right? It's more
Mm-hmm.
more of a religious subjective way of governing yourself, less of a diplomatic, capitalism,
100%.
law book type of way of governing yourself. And then
Mm-hmm.
what's the stellium in with the sun
Oh,
in
it's the Sun, Mercury, and Pluto in Scorpio in their second house.
Scorpio, Sun, Mercury, and Pluto in Scorpio. So we have this transformation. both have prominent stelliums with Pluto. So we know that they are going to be intense and in intense conflicts.
And
That they're
they square each other too. And like I think they take the Israel takes the position of being right due to them having this Leo energy, being the Messiah, while naturally the Palestinian adopting the Scorpio like energy, the underworld, probably like dealing with like darkness and things like that, are seem like they don't deserve it or something like that.
And then look at Judas. Judas represents Scorpio. Judas killed Jesus. Judas wanted to take out the Mashiach. Judas wanted to take out Scorpio season, the coming of winter, and wants to take out the sun, Leo, summertime, the sun
It,
where it starts being darker most of the time. So you see that
no,
natural conflict where they want their light to shine within that region, and now Palestine's purpose has turned into snuffing out that light that is there, because that light can't exist and they exist because if it's light over there, it's not, our darkness can't be seen, it's like that type of shit.
It's almost like they did reverse psychology where they picked the good character for themselves to be represented by, and they picked the bad character for the Palestinians to be represented by. So once you interpret it through these energies, you have no way but to see it the way they put it.
100%. And then we
This is why
one
you
and
might say Israel is evil, but due to the natal chart and the alignment of the stars, they look good. They look like they have a purpose compared to the Palestinian. When it comes to the natal chart, even say, oh, they're good, but in reality, to the energy structure and the alchemy, things like that, it actually kind of almost you say evil. But
and you see the pent up, you see with the moon in Capricorn. Raekwon has moon in Capricorn, if you to give you context, the sensitivity, the irrationality, to the lack of control of emotion for, and if a moon in Capricorn were to be given a reason to deeply hate someone, and then the sun in Scorpio, are we talking about Palestinians having hatred of revenge, and the whole country's natal chart has a stellium in motherfucking Scorpio? It's like, no shit. It's like, this is why we need astrology, y'all. Like, how are we looking at this situation without looking at the chart? Like, that makes no sense. And then we have Venus in the first house. So I feel that shows like you can see the victimization of the Palestinians, and a lot of people do take that side because they're being thrusted into this issue
oh
without
yeah, we're compromising with their personal issues, which was the first house deal with. Yeah, we should.
exactly.
Oh,
So you can see that victimization aspect of them, but look at that Venus in Libra squaring the moon in Capricorn. So you see the frustrated, the unhandling of the emotions leads to the terrorist attack. So it confuses you when you go and see the victims of the reign of Israel and all the negative things, and you go and see them in their victimizing state and them trying to purport that, but then you see them coming from the same population, this hatred coming out, this let's kill everybody, and it's like this discrepancy is like, whoa, I wanted to look at you as the victim, but you guys want to kill these niggas bloodthirsty, like, so it's like, should I support Israel, should I go into, and it's all written in their chart. And then look at Jupiter and Gemini. They have Jupiter opposite Israel's Gemini, so how they purport themselves into the world is going to be different. How they expand in the world is going to be different. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, that's looking at the chart. So we can see everything being laid out in their chart and how they were going to interact with each other. Um And if we don't start implementing these types of ways of looking at situations, we're going to be completely lost and not understand what's going on. And if you were to look at the chart first and then look at the narrative of what's being spreaded on the news and stuff like that, you would have a clearer perspective of where things lie and what things are going on. Like, say, with Joe Biden, for example, he has a stellium in Scorpio in his 12th house, coming up on people calling him a liar. He's plagiarizing speeches. He's involved in sex scandals with the island and his son
mhm.
and all of that. He's involved in treason of handling other people's money, Scorpio having other people's resources, and then stealing an election. And elections happen in Scorpio season. And then it's in the 12th house, his stellium. So this nigga who's plagiarized, who has these connections with taking other people's money with this whole Ukraine and his son and all of that, and you see the stellium in it, this gives him way more credence to what's being talked about. The sexual abuse of his daughter and all of these things, like that didn't really happen. The nigga has a stellium in Scorpio in the 12th house. What the fuck are y'all niggas talking about? There's a whole lot of energy within that can be expressed, primed to be expressed within that sexual deviant way. Is it? Maybe he has a different outlet for that type of energy. You should show and expose that outlet so we don't start making up and fulfilling all of these other type of things, or we would see that expression in some different way. It being expressed, the fact that you see it in his chart and you don't see that energy being expressed on the surface, it gives more credence to something being held on behind closed doors when you see that alignment. So there's so much more to be gained when you look at the astrology chart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess we can end it there, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, yo, thanks for tuning in. I hope we gave you more clarity on this Israel versus Palestine situation. And yeah, it may not be the exact, this is definitely not anything you're going to get on the mainstream news, but it's way more valuable than what you're getting in the mainstream news because it's real and it's connecting to you, being explained to you as a person, not as a Canadian citizen or an American citizen viewing this from the news, with all of this professional
Mm-hmm.
narrative thing being drawn around it, but so you can understand it on a personal level, drawn down on a way that you can understand. So we hope we provided you some value. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram, TruSpace _. Check out our website, TruSpace.biz, and yeah, we'll catch you guys on the flip.
Mm-hmm. Take care.
Take care.